Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following: IU Health Southern Indiana physicians, primary care and specialty care providers now accepting new patients in Bloomington and throughout South Central Indiana. siphysicians.org, IU Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research, working to improve cybersecurity and provide policy guidance through partnerships with industry, government, and academia.
Smithville Fiber, the Gigacity Company, fiber internet, HD, and digital IPTV in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk. The next time you take a ride on an ATV, one Indiana family wants you to think of their daughter.
What we can do and to try to prevent this from happening again and from keeping other families from going through the pain and suffering that we have been going through.
How they're using their tragedy to push for change. And solar farms are popping up all over the state, and a group of residents in central Indiana hopes it catches on in their community. They want to make the renewable energy source more affordable.
The surveys have shown consistently that houses with panels are worth, on the average, about 15% more.
Plus, families come from all over the country for a historic Hamilton County homecoming. These stories and all the top headlines from around the state right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. Off-road vehicles like four-wheelers are part of many rural Indiana towns' cultures used for recreation and for utility purposes. Federal highway safety regulations don't apply to ATVs, so it's up to each state to establish its own laws. As a result, there's a patchwork of safety standards across the country. In Indiana, ATVs are largely unregulated, but as Lindsay Wright reports, a local mother is pushing to strengthen the laws after a tragic accident changed her and her family's lives forever.
We spend probably a lot more time here at the playground than we do at the cemetery.
It's been nearly a year since Ashley Bergenschmidt received the phone call that for so long she didn't believe was real.
Kate was very, very anxious and very shy. She wasn't like a risk taker or anything, so I thought, well, what did she do, like break her arm?
Last July, 11-year-old Kate spent a break between softball games at a teammate's house. She was riding an ATV at about 11 miles per hour when the 650-pound machine rolled over on her.
And when they called us, Kate was already dead.
Kate wasn't wearing a helmet when she died from blunt force trauma to the head.
She still had her softball chest guard in, that we like her heart guard that we would make her wear for every softball game. There was no damage to that.
It might sound like a freak accident, but it's all too familiar. In 2014, there were 239 ATV accidents and 13 fatalities. Those numbers increased in 2015 to 247 accidents, resulting in 16 deaths. So far this year, 8 people have died in the state. 2 Hoosiers died just over the 4th of July weekend. Bergenschmidt is the driving force behind an effort to pass the first statewide law requiring kids under a certain age to wear a helmet. Representative Ron Bacon is drafting the bill that he calls a work in progress. It'll likely include an education component and a helmet requirement for kids under 18 or 16.
We're not saying that we know everything, at least I'm not. But I need more people involved. I need to get the Farm Bureau involved on this. We need to get them doing it. We need to get the retail people involved and say, okay, here's the law. Give us if we did it this way, what issues will you have with it?
Bacon says he hasn't heard much opposition, but American Bikers Aim Toward Education, or ABATE of Indiana Executive Director Jay Jackson, says he believes education and training is the answer, not necessarily legislation.
If you just mandate with a stick, you must do this, you'll get some compliance, obviously, because it's the law. But when you tell people why to do this and that there really are benefits to them, they tend to embrace it and own it more, and it has a lot more value.
Jackson says the industry offers incentives for riders who take part in free education courses, but the results have been disappointing. He says the language of the law will determine whether the organization will support it.
Working with people is always easier than working against them. So we embrace the opportunity to talk to folks, and we're receptive to virtually any idea, whether we end up supporting it or not.
Bergenschmidt says she agrees that helmet wearing should be a parent's decision, but that's not always the case.
As the parents who lost their child, we didn't make that decision. Somebody made that decision for us, and our child died.
Now she says this is her way of continuing to do something for her daughter.
I have to focus on the positive and focus on what Kate would want. And Kate wanted to be a lawyer. She was all about helping other people. And so I feel like the law is a way to help other kids.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Lindsay Wright.
The first draft of the legislation will be complete sometime in July. Representative Bacon is looking closely at Kentucky standards as he drafts his proposal. Kentucky has regulations matching the size of the ATV to a child and a mandatory helmet law for riders under age 16. Now for headlines, we go over to Lindsay Wright, who has the latest on this week's top stories.
Thanks, Joe. We should know within the next week whether Governor Mike Pence plans to drop out of the gubernatorial race to run for vice president alongside Donald Trump. State law dictates that Pence cannot appear on both ballots as both a vice presidential nominee and a candidate for governor. He must withdraw by noon on July 15th. Pence met with the presumed Republican presidential nominee over the weekend and is one of several people Trump is considering. After the meeting with Trump, he tweeted that he was very impressed with Pence. Indiana's new abortion law faces another challenge as the ACLU and Planned Parenthood seek to strike down a provision requiring women to have an ultrasound at least 18 hours before an abortion. Indiana law already required women to have an ultrasound before they have an abortion, but ACLU of Indiana Legal Director Ken Falk says the new 18-hour rule requires women to make 2 separate and often lengthy trips to have an abortion. And he says that imposes an undue burden on those women. A federal judge last week halted other parts of the abortion law, including a ban on selective abortions and a separate lawsuit filed by the ACLU and Planned Parenthood. The Indiana Supreme Court will consider whether private university police departments should comply with public records requests. ESPN sued the University of Notre Dame last year after the college refused to hand over public records for a story about student athletes. ESPN argues while Notre Dame is a private university, its police department is a public entity authorized by the state. The Court of Appeals sided with ESPN in March, but Notre Dame appealed that decision. The Supreme Court hasn't set a date for oral arguments. Lawmakers will tackle the issue of sexual misconduct in schools as part of a summer study committee. This comes after several high-profile cases involving school staff in Indiana. Lawmakers hope to identify the scope of the problem and offer potential solutions. But the state's largest teachers union says all school staff should be examined, not just teachers. The study committee meets for the first time July 15th. The Bloomington Police Department is establishing a new program that gives members of the LGBTQ community direct access to 2 officers. The department hopes the liaison program will result in more communication and trust between the department and the LGBTQ community.
We've never felt here like we were terribly out of touch. We've never felt like we've seen a tremendous amount of problems, but we'd be naive to assume that there weren't any problems. And also what we want to do is develop this kind of program and relationship with the community so that in the future we can get in front of any problems which might come up.
Bloomington police hope the program results in more people reporting potential hate crimes, which officers say often go unreported. Indiana State Police troopers handed out more than 1,500 warnings and 109 tickets since legislators passed a slowpoke law last year. The slowpoke law lets police give tickets to left-lane drivers who don't switch lanes when another vehicle is quickly approaching them from behind. It's aimed at improving traffic flow and safety.
Where the problem comes into effect is when folks get into that left-hand lane and they're driving the speed limit, which is great. We encourage people to drive the speed limit, but unfortunately what happens in a lot of those long stretches, those cars will back up traffic.
Durnall says that can cause road rage, often resulting in dangerous driving.
Here's what you're actually doing. You're blocking traffic, you're causing people road rage. It also causes that behavior to come out. Tailgating, honking the horn, that type of thing, and that can be dangerous.
The law doesn't apply when there is traffic congestion or bad weather. Work is starting on a recount to confirm the winner of the Democratic primary for southwestern Indiana's congressional seat. The Indiana Recount Commission is conducting the review of the 8th district results that showed Ron Drake leading former state representative David Orentlicher by 68 votes out of nearly 60,000 cast for the May primary. The winner will face Republican Representative Larry Bouchon in the November election. The decision over whether to allow backyard chickens in the city of Columbus won't come for several more months. As Barbara Brosier reports, the city council voted earlier this week to table that discussion until October.
It's dinner time for the pets at the Porter household, but these may not be the animals you'd expect to see in the middle of Columbus.
This one right here that's eating out of my hand is my favorite.
The Porters are one of a growing number of families throughout Indiana that started raising chickens at their home. For some, it's a way to ensure fresh eggs. Others just like keeping the animals as a family pet. But whatever the reason, whether the chickens are allowed within Columbus city limits is now up for debate.
It appears that there's a few in our community that are outweighing the vast majority who want to have responsible or want to be able to raise chickens responsibly.
Those assumptions were challenged during a city council meeting earlier this week, where people spoke for nearly 2 hours about a proposal to classify chickens as farm animals, therefore banning them from the city.
This is one way that I can provide for my family and teach my kids, and it's not hurting anyone.
While most people at the meeting spoke out against the ordinance, some council members say they received emails and phone calls from community members wishing to remain anonymous, who worry about noise and health problems the chickens could cause.
I'm listening to your side. I'm listening to their side. I have emails just today. I tried to get those people to come here tonight.
The council ultimately tabled the discussion so the chickens can stay in the Porters' backyard, at least for now. The Porters say they welcome regulations for keeping chickens in the city, just not a flat-out ban.
Essentially, our goal is we want to set framework so people stay within what's considered responsible backyard chicken keeping, whether that be a limit on the number of birds, requiring setbacks from property lines or things like that.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Barbara Brosier.
The council will establish a special committee to study the issue ahead of October's public hearing. Several other Indiana communities, including Bloomington, South Bend, and Indianapolis, allow for backyard chickens. Indiana farmers say proposed standards for animal treatment on organic farms could lead to higher costs for all farmers. The proposed federal changes aim to make sure certified organic cows, chickens, pigs, and other animals are raised and killed more humanely. The rules focus in part on how much space animals have for their normal behaviors. The USDA estimates a $3 to $6 million a year cost for organic broiler chicken farmers to comply with the changes, like those in Northeast Indiana. 5 patients in Indiana are the first in the country to receive a heart treatment that triggers cell growth within the heart to heal damage. The medical trial in Indiana could revolutionize heart surgery, affecting an estimated 100,000 Americans each year. The core matrix is part of an FDA trial, and it's the first valve that allows a patient's stem cells to regrow new tissue. The mass shooting last month at an Orlando, Florida nightclub sparked blood drives nationwide as people looked for ways to help. Despite that spike in donations, Indiana's blood supply is about 30% lower than it was last year.
The FDA just recently changed its eligibility guidelines around hemoglobin levels for men, and that has had an impact on our donor base. the ongoing Zika virus deferrals. As people travel and they're not going to not visit these Zika areas, that has an impact.
Traveling to one of those areas makes you ineligible to donate blood for 42 days. And Joe, Indiana has an especially low supply of negative blood, particularly O negative blood.
Oh, and it's summertime. It's a very busy time of the year.
That's right.
Thank you, Lindsay. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. A central Indiana community hopes to harness the power of the sun to fuel its energy needs. How they plan to make solar panels more affordable for residents. And descendants of a historic Black community travel from all over the country to celebrate a major milestone. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
I can change the world with my own two hands, make it a better place with my own two hands. I'm gonna make it a brighter place with my own two hands. I'm gonna help the human race with my own two hands. I can hold you in my own two hands, and I can comfort you with my own two hands. With my own two hands.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. The State Board of Education voted this week to grant $5 million in loans to 5 new charter schools around the state. Seven Oaks, Candace, Global Preparatory Academy, Heritage Institute of Arts and Technology, and Steel City will get varying amounts of the funding. Now, Indiana Public Broadcasting's education reporter Claire McInerney is here to explain more about the loans. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, of course.
How about some more details about them?
Sure.
Who's getting them and how much money are we talking about?
Yeah, so you just named the 5 charter schools that will get the loan this year. Their awards range in amount from $500,000 to $2 million. And they are in Ellettsville, Gary, Indianapolis, and Maryville, so kind of all over the state.
Mm-hmm. Have these charter schools always gotten this money?
No,
or these loans, I
guess.
guess.
Yeah, this loan is part of a new program that the 2015 General Assembly created. So they allocated $50 million to be used in loans over the 2-year biennium, and charter schools can apply for it. Last year they gave away $40 million of that money, and then this year they decided to only give it to new charter schools. So last year any charter school could get the loan.
So now how does the State Board of Education choose who gets the money?
So that's laid out in the law, which says a charter school that gets an A, B, or C on the state's grading system is eligible for the loan. If they get a D or an F, but that's still a higher grade than the traditional public school in their area, they can still get it. Any charter school that applies gets the loan. And then if they have too many that apply versus the amount of money they have, there's a funding formula that they use to decide who gets how much.
So does this mean that a loan for a charter school will get more money than a public school? And I don't want to open up a whole box here.
No, it's confusing. So a charter school is a public school, so they do receive state funding. So what this loan is the amount of money that they would get from the state, and they're lumping it together and giving it to them up front. And they do have to pay a 1% interest fee on it. So it's the money they would have gotten anyway, just at a different time than a traditional public school.
All right, thank you very much, Claire.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Solar energy is becoming increasingly popular. Duke Energy is planning a solar farm at Crane. Hoosier Energy is building solar farms throughout Indiana. As J.D. Gray reports, one group of residents in Columbus is trying to jumpstart the momentum in their community.
Mike Mullet lives in Columbus, Indiana. He has a lot to be proud of in his backyard, his dog, his flowers, but Mullet is especially proud of his solar panel. He installed them on his daughter's birthday.
As you get to our age, you start thinking about legacy. You know, what kind of world are we leaving?
Mullet spent years as an environmental lawyer, and now he is concerned about climate change.
The more I learned about the economics of energy production, transmission, distribution, and consumption, the more I learned about the environmental impacts.
Mullet tracks his solar panels online. He builds up charts and graphs that help put his contribution to the environment into perspective.
So the amount that we've generated from the solar panels on our house to date is the equivalent of 1 day's worth of power from a major sports stadium.
That's the same amount of carbon that 1 acre of trees would offset in the same amount of time. Now Mullet wants to create a virtual forest of solar panels. But so far in Columbus, solar energy has not taken off. Justin Ackert works for the Bartholomew County REMC, an energy company. The company is a co-op that buys power from Hoosier Energy and sells it to their members in Columbus and the surrounding area. Ackert is the solar guy. He keeps a book about solar energy on his desk. He's the guy that adjusts the company's panels to save them money and produce more energy. Ackert helps members understand their options. He looks at the angles on their house and how much shade covers their home.
If we can lower their usage, they are obviously going to benefit from the lower energy consumption, the lower bill, but it's good for the environment, which is what we're also here for. But ultimately, it also helps us to decrease demand, which means lowering the need to build another power plant.
In the 2.5 years since Ackert started working with the company, he says only one member has installed solar panels.
The cost of solar is really coming down. And when you look at the numbers of the initial investment, people just want to know, when am I going to get that back? Am I getting it back in 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, or so on? And if it's a reasonable return, it makes sense to them.
At a recent meeting at the Columbus Visitor Center, Mike Mullet gathered a group of volunteers to talk to residents about their goal to solarize Columbus. The group's hope is to install 1,000 new solar panels in Bartholomew County by the end of the year.
There's a tremendous difference between curious interest and calculated commitment. And to actually act, you have to move from curious interest to calculated commitment.
The Columbus Community Solar Initiative worked out a deal with a solar panel distributor, Third Sun Solar. The idea is if you sell a lot of solar panels at once, the block purchase creates a lower price for the consumer.
The whole solarized concept is something that's been growing in the Midwest. So it's newer to Indiana. It's been going on in Ohio a little bit longer.
Mullet says it will take about 40 households and 10 businesses to meet the goal of 1,000 panels.
My order personally is 28. With the 28 panels, we should be able to cover nearly 100% of our energy usage on a net metered basis, meaning we will be putting excess solar energy, electricity on the grid.
Kastner says he is spending about $20,000 on his solar panels, but that number comes down to about $14,000 after he accounts for a tax credit he'll get back. Kastner says he expects the panels to pay themselves off in around 12 years.
All by ourselves, one household, one family, just all by itself, isn't going to make a difference. But in terms of having a community initiative that gets many families, businesses, nonprofit organizations involved, that starts to have an impact.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm J.D. Gray.
Now, in the second phase, 5 people signed letters of intent to purchase solar energy from Third Sun Solar. And more than 200 people gathered in Hamilton County to celebrate their ancestors who founded the Roberts Settlement. WTIU's Sophia Salaby reports.
3 free black men coming from Virginia and North Carolina founded the Roberts Settlement in 1835. They chose this land in Indiana because of its proximity to Quakers, a group supportive of free blacks. And on its 93rd homecoming, people came from as far as California to celebrate the Roberts Settlement. Community members spoke in front of the settlement's church, a long-standing meeting place for the area, before unveiling the marker at the end of the ceremony.
The evidence is all around us of what we stand for.
Lavella Heider is chairperson of the dedication ceremony and a descendant of one of the original founders of the Roberts Settlement. She says even though people live far away, families connected to the settlement always make it back for the homecoming.
Somehow we always come back here. This is where the nucleus is of the family.
And it's just really important to us that we keep this thriving.
Stephen Vincent grew up in Noblesville and has been studying the history of the Roberts settlement since 1978. He says the community's unique history focuses on a different dynamic of race relations in our past that isn't often discussed.
This gets much more into the diversity of American history. And this shows other sides and other layers of what we know about race and how it worked and the discrimination that people faced and the opportunities, in this case, with this community.
And as someone who is a descendant of one of the original founders, Heider says the most important part of coming back to the Roberts settlement every year is remembering those who came before her.
This is the same land that our founders walked on. And every generation have walked on this land, and it just, there's something about just walking here.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Sophia Salaby.
And that's the end of this program. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following: IU Health Southern Indiana physicians, primary care and specialty care providers, now accepting new patients in Bloomington and throughout South Central Indiana. siphysicians.org, IU Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research, working to improve cybersecurity and provide policy guidance through partnerships with industry, government, and academia.
Smithville Fiber, the Gigacity Company, fiber internet, HD, and digital IPTV in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.